Hello and welcome to Peaky Boardgamer. My name is Rakos and today I will teach you how you can play the game Alpenglow, designed by Sean and Gillian Whitmire and produced by Waterworks Games. The game will be on Kickstarter towards the end of October. It is for 2 to 5 players, plays in about 2 hours and a half, and in the game players are managing a ski resort in the Alpenglow mountain. You need to know that this game is a prototype and what you will see or even hear in the game is subject to change. If there are rule changes, I will try to correct them using Klingon subtitles, so make sure you have them on. Let's move to the table and see how Alpenglow is played. Welcome to Alpenglow Mountain. In this game, players compete to create the most profitable and prestigious ski resort in the area. During the 2 seasons of the game, players will be operating into different areas. The first one is the village area. There, players will be constructing buildings and they'll be using their buses to pick up new skiers to their lodges. The second one is the mountain. There, players will be developing their ski area, creating a network of chairlifts, connecting their lodges to the various terminals of the mountain. Players will also be playing run cards to gain various bonuses and assign new runs on the mountain. By bringing skiers to their desired runs, players will be gaining money, but most importantly, victory points. And the player with the most victory points at the end of the second season will win in Alpenglow. First, place the board in the middle of the table using the side that applies to your player count. Place the season marker on the first season space on the board. Shuffle the run cards and create a face-down stack in this area of the board. Then draw the top 4 cards of this deck and place them facing upwards in the 4 indicated spaces. The mountain area of the board depicts various terminal spaces. In your first games, you should just use the printed terminals on the board. In your later games, however, you can use extra setup tiles and use them to randomly cover the printed spaces on the board. Even if terminal tiles are not used to be placed on the board, you should keep them somewhere near, as they might be used with some cards. Also, some terminal tiles depict this back illustration. Separate these tiles and place them next to your board, as these are used with confused card cards like this one here. The town area of the board depicts 8 neutral buildings in the center and a perimeter of empty building lot squares. For your first games, it is recommended that you use the printed areas on the board. If you want to spice things up, however, you can use neutral building tiles and neutral empty building lot tiles. Then use these tiles to cover all printed spaces on the board, creating a fully randomized village. If you do use the tiles, make sure that the 3 double-sided tiles are placed with their first season side facing upwards. Then you have run tiles and skier cubes that come in 4 different colors. Create supplies of them next to the board. Then create a visible supply of the 16 buildings of the game. Also create a general supply of coins. Players take a personal board in the player aid and then choose one of the colors, taking all components corresponding to that color. Players have 5 buses placed here, 3 lodges placed in these lodge areas here, 3 sets of chairlifts, 4 doubles, 3 triples and 3 quads, a set of 6 building ownership tokens, as well as a victory point marker which is placed at the start space next to the scoring track. Next, players are dealt 2 random goal cards. Goal cards offer objectives that, if met, will award players with more victory points at the end of the game. Players choose one of these cards, which they will keep secret until the end of the game. All remaining goal cards are shuffled and placed in a face-down supply next to the board. Players start the game with 5 random run cards, which they take from the top of the stack. They also add 4 coins to their personal supply. At this point, players choose a player at random to take the first player token. That player will take the first turn in the game and the rest of the order is determined clockwise. The game is now ready to start. The game is split in 2 seasons. At the beginning of the first season, all players will place 1 chairlift and 1 lodge into the mountain, as well as a bus route using their bus tokens into the town. However, this is done in the reverse player turn order, so in our case, the red player will go first, performing the following steps. First, the player takes one lodge from their personal board and places it onto any lodge space from those depicted around the mountain. As you can see, the lodge connects the player to one of the terminals. Then the player places a double chairlift, which must be placed adjacent to this connected terminal. Chairlifts are used to connect terminals, being placed on these dotted lines. Every such dotted line can only accommodate one chairlift. Next, the player will use their buses to create their first bus route. Every bus has to be placed on a different village square. All of the buses must be connected, and every bus must be orthogonally adjacent to at least one other of your buses. In this example, you can see valid bus routes for all players. After all players are done with the first season setup, players proceed with the main gameplay. In the main course of the game, players alternate turns, starting with the first player and then continuing clockwise. A player's turn consists of 4 parts. In the first part, you must remove one of your buses from the board, activating the building and attracting new skiers to your lodge. In the second part, you must play one of your cards or discard all of them and gain new cards from the supply. The third part is optional. You either buy or upgrade one of your chairlifts, or you can construct a new building and add it to the village. The last part is again optional. In this part, you open your ski area, delivering your skiers from your lodges to the various runs in the mountain using your own chairlift network. Opening your ski area is the main mechanism of the game, and it's the main source of gaining victory points and money. At the end of their turn, if a player has less than 5 cards, they draw cards from the supply, enough to have 5 cards again. After this point, it is time for the next clockwise player to take a turn. Now let's make a step back and see each step in greater detail. In the first step, you must remove any one of your own buses, activating the square where it was located, and gain the depicted number and type of skiers from the supply. So if, for example, I remove this bus, I activate the rental shop for my entire turn and gain a blue and an orange skier from the supply. All gained skiers are placed in the lodge area of your personal board, and there is no limit to the number of skiers you can have. All buildings have a specific type depicted here that can be important for the cards you'll play later on your turn. If I remove this bus, then I have activated the hotel, and I can take 2 skiers of any type, same or different. If I remove this bus, then I activate an empty building slot and gain a blue skier. If you remove a bus from the village square, then instead of gaining skiers, then you gain a bonus which depends on the current season. In the first season, you place a double run tile of any color to the mountain, but if it's the second season, you gain an additional gold card. Later in this video, we will see that players will be able to construct new buildings on empty building slots. The ownership of buildings is indicated by the color of the tile which is placed on it. Whenever owned buildings are activated, when a player removes a bus from them, the owner of the building only gains all the bonuses depicted on the ownership tile. So in this case, the red player will gain 2 blue and 1 green skier, and the yellow player gains an orange skier and can exchange up to 3 cards from their hand with cards from the general supply. In the second part, the player must play one of their cards in their hand, resolving all of the effects, or discard all of their cards, gain new cards from the supply, and also collect 3 coins. All cards correspond to one of the 4 different run colors. Playing any of the cards will certainly involve adding 1 run from the supply of the corresponding type to any empty white hex on the mountain. You can even place it beneath placed chairlifts. Runs in the mountain are not owned by any player. They can be used by all players. Apart from the run placement, all cards also have an effect that the player may use. I cannot explain all of them, but this one, for example, enables a player to swap any two terminals on the mountain. If you play without the terminal tiles, then find the two start tiles that depict the bonuses of the two terminals you want to swap and simply swap them. Some card effects only take place if a specific building type has been activated on your turn. This one says that if you have activated a shop, then you also gain 3 green skiers. Whenever you gain cards during the game, you either choose one from the face-up display or from the face-down stack. You gain cards one at a time, so if you gain the card from the face-up display, you immediately replenish it before continuing drawing the next card. Next we have part 3, which is optional and involves construction. You can either construct or upgrade the chairlift or construct a new building. You can construct a new chairlift to a chairlift space which is adjacent to a terminal you already reach with your own network. These are all the valid options for the red player. The cost for constructing a double chairlift is 4 coins, the cost of a triple is 7, and the cost of a quad chairlift is 10 coins. If with your placement you manage to link your network to an entry point terminal, you may place another one of your lodges to an empty lodge space there. There is no cost for placing a lodge. Instead of constructing a new chairlift, you can upgrade the chairlift you already have. You can replace it with any type of chairlift, paying the normal cost with a discount of 2 coins. So I could replace my double with a quad chairlift paying 8 coins. Instead of chairlifts, you can construct a building. You select any available building tile from the supply, then you select one of your ownership tokens and place it in a vacant empty building slot on the board. You can even select squares with buses. After you place a building, you cannot move it again. The cost to construct a building is 4 coins in the first season and 6 coins in the second. And after you construct a building, you immediately gain 6 victory points. Whenever you gain victory points, you forward your victory point marker that many spaces along the scoring track. If you ever exceed 50, then you start over and take one of these tiles and place it next to your play area using the 50-point side facing upwards. The next time you will exceed 50, you will simply flip this token to the other side. In the last part of their turn, players may open their ski area and send any number of skiers from their lodge area to corresponding runs, using their own chairlift network, and gain money and/or victory points. Let's see how this works using an example. Practically, skiers want to travel to a mountain terminal, and from that point, they can go to an adjacent run of their color. If you manage to do this, then you gain the bonuses depicted on the terminal that was used. So now I have to choose if I will gain 1 coin or 3 victory points. I choose to gain the points. Of course, to reach to that terminal from a starting point, you need to spend the capacity of the used chairlifts. So now this chairlift can carry only 1 more skier and this one another 2. Skiers can also reach to runs further than adjacent to the terminal. They can do this by moving to same color chained runs. So now, again I can choose to gain a coin or 3 victory points. I gain another 3 points. Now this chairlift is exhausted. However, this skier can reach this run without even using a chairlift, since this terminal is adjacent to one of your entry points. For this skier, I will choose to gain 3 coins. Now I see 3 potential blue runs for my 3 blue skiers. I can gain access to all these 3 runs by moving to this terminal. However, I will spend the last capacity of this chairlift to gain another 3 victory points. I will now use the last chainlift capacity to move another blue skier to that terminal and then access any of these 2 runs. I will choose to gain another 2 coins for that. Unfortunately, I cannot access any other blue run for this skier, who will return on the lodge area of my personal board. After gaining all the bonuses, I must now pay the cost of opening my ski area. This is equal to 1 coin per chairlift I own, regardless whether I used them or not. So I need to pay 1, 2, 3 coins to the general supply. Now all these happy skiers return to the general supply, and the capacity of all your chairlifts is refreshed to be used in the following turn. Before passing your turn to the next player, you need to check if you have less than 5 cards in your hand, in which case you gain new cards from the stack or the face-up display in order to get back to 5 cards. After all players have taken 5 turns, there should be no bus in the village, and that's the end of the first season. At the beginning of the second season, perform the following steps. First, discard all cards from the face-up display and place new cards from the stack. Then pass the first player token to the next clockwise player. Advance the season marker to Season 2 and then flip all double-sided neutral buildings to their Season 2 side. If you play the game using the printed neutral buildings, find the corresponding tiles, cover the spaces on the board, and then flip the tiles to the other side. The Season 2 side of these neutral buildings grants more skier cubes, but there is also a cost in order to gain these cubes. You can still activate these buildings, but you will not gain the cubes unless you pay the indicated cost. At this point, all players may discard any number of their cards and then replenish their hand, only this time they can only take cards from the top of the deck. If any player has any skier cubes in their lodge, then these cubes return to the general supply. Finally, all players create a new bus route using their buses. Now players proceed to the second season following the same exact rules. After all players take another 5 turns each, it will be the end of the game and players proceed to scoring. In final scoring, players score victory points for their constructed chairlifts. Each of the chairlifts scores double its capacity in victory points. So in the current situation, the red player would gain 14 victory points. Finally, players flip all of their gold cards and score any applicable victory points. These cards are self-explanatory. For example, with this card, the player will gain another 6 victory points if they have built all 4 types of buildings. And with that one, the player will gain 7 victory points if they have the most buildings at the end of the game. With such gold cards asking for majorities, if you tie with another player, then you don't get the victory point bonus. The player with the most victory points is declared the winner. If there is a tie, then the winner is the player who has the most remaining money. Once you get more experience, there are various features to make the game more advanced. One of the features are the special terminal tiles that offer more advanced and special bonuses. You can also use resort upgrade buildings, backcountry tiles, and huts. You don't need to add all of these features together. You can use any combination of them. If you use them, place upgrade buildings and backcountry tiles next to the board in a general supply. If you use the huts, each player takes the 3 hut tiles corresponding to their color. Let's see how these are used. In the construction part of your turn, you now have 2 more options than just constructing a chairlift or a building. You can also construct a resort upgrade building or one of your hut tiles. If you build an upgrade, the cost is the same with normal buildings, 4 coins in the first season and 6 coins in the second. And like buildings, you also score 6 victory points immediately once you construct an upgrade. You choose one of the available tiles and place it using any of the sides on an empty lodge space on your personal board. So by constructing more lodges, you make space for more resort upgrade buildings. All of the upgrades grant ongoing effects for the entire game. For example, with this upgrade, whenever you deliver a yellow skier, you gain a bonus victory point. With wine tasting, every time you have to spend money, you get a discount of 1 coin. If you choose to construct one of your huts, the cost is 5 coins in both seasons. Here again, you gain 6 victory points each time you build one of your huts. Huts are played like normal run tiles after you choose the side you prefer. They can accept 2 different types of skiers, and whenever any player delivers a skier onto these huts, the hut's owner gains the bonus depicted on the tile. You can use backcountry tiles whenever you get the bonus that I show you in the graphics. Normally, with this bonus, you place a double run tile of any color. Instead of getting this tile, you can place an available backcountry tile. You place these tiles as normal in open hexes. The type of skiers that can be delivered on these tiles is depicted on the left side of the tile. In this case, it's 3 orange skiers, and all of them must be delivered in a single ski area opening. The first player who manages to deliver these skiers gains the bonuses depicted to the right, and then the tile is flipped to the other side, depicting 2 normal runs that any player can use. And that were the rules of Alpenglow. Stay tuned for the upcoming Kickstarter towards the end of October. If you like our videos and want to see more videos like that, please subscribe to our channel. Until next time, have fun and play more board games.